Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Dr. Spotfire session. This session is for April, and remember, the first Tuesday of every month, we are here discussing interesting topics. I'm Jose Laveguirre from Spotfire, and today we're going to talk about Spotfire for mobile devices. Before I continue, let me go through some announcements. Okay. So subscribe for our recorded sessions in YouTube. We are live, and if you happen to see this session before or you have to leave early, you can always watch it on YouTube. The channel is Dr. Spotfire, and we are also live in LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. So we have the regular Dr. Spotfire hours for those that are new to the program. It's for new or advanced users. It's hosted by Spotfire experts every month, and you can email if you have any questions at doctor@spotfire.com. And you can always watch the previous recorded sessions. So we have a new community we launched early this year. So let me show you something about the new community. We have forums, we have clubs, and let me just go live to one of those clubs right here. So this is the community, and we have, this is the main community, and then you have this menu, you go to the clubs, and we have industry-focused communities like the energy user group, discussing mainly oil and gas. We can see some of the topics here, and you can look at the forum, different topics, for example, the client curve analysis, and it's very, very industry oriented. Now let's go back to other clubs. We have also life sciences user groups and manufacturing, and for general purposes, we have the Dr. Spotfire Club, in which we explain how it works, and then we have upcoming events. We also have the past Dr. Spotfire sessions. They are all in YouTube recorded, but you can find all the recording sessions right here, everything in one place. And of course, you can also have this Q&A and stuff like that. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. And before we start, we'd like to share our motto. Learning is not driven by answers, but by questions. So feel free to ask any questions. We're live, any questions at any point. And if you happen to see this video before or after the session, then just go ahead and submit your questions or your answers through different means. You can reach out to LinkedIn or email at doctor@spotfire.com, or just put your comments on the appropriate channel, YouTube, you name it. Okay, so for today's session, we're going to talk about Spotfire for mobile design. Here's a quick confidentiality disclaimer. I'm going to skip through that, but let's go through the agenda. The agenda, I'm going to talk about designing for mobile. These are just general principles that is not Spotfire specific, but it's important to understand these key principles. For example, the key factors, data quality, implementation, user adoption, and maintenance, the basic design principles, outlines key considerations for mobile design users in the industry, which I will cover a few key principles and concepts like simplicity, having touch-friendly performance, etc. Responsive design, that's also important when it comes to mobile design. And we cover adapting layouts for optimal user experience. Basically, it's a mobile-first approach to optimize the core content for smaller screens and then gradually enhancing for larger screens. These are just concepts. And then we have also the mobile interaction patterns when we use touch gestures, mobile-friendly inputs, and response menus for seamless and user-friendly experiences on mobile devices. So Spotfire has already implemented these these principles. And so we are going to talk about all of that. And lastly, we're going to talk about how to also optimize the dashboards for optimal performance. Okay, so the first part are the key principles, the key factors, and all of that. So I like to start off with a quote from Leonardo da Vinci that says, "Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication." Okay, so the key factors for a successful deployment, we have four main pillars, which is the data quality, the implementation, the user adoption, and the maintenance. For the data quality, it involves the accuracy, completeness, consistency, and reliability of the data that is used by any software, dashboard, or you name it. So high quality data is essential for generating accurate insights and making informed decisions. So, trash in, trash out. So let's keep it clean and good quality in the data. It's important to have correct and complete data. Otherwise, it can lead to faulty analysis, inaccurate reporting, or flawed decision making. So data quality issues can undermine the credibility of the software and erode user trust. So what are the actions that you need to do on that? Well, implement data validation process to ensure data accuracy during input. Regularly audit and clean the data to remove duplicates, inconsistencies, inaccuracies, and establish data governance practice and standards. For the implementation part, it really doesn't matter if you have good quality, and the first one is good, because if you don't have a successful implementation, which involves the planning of deployment and integration of the software into the existing infrastructure, and that includes configuring settings, customizing features, and ensuring a smooth transition from the old system if that's the case. And it's important to have a well-executed implemented, because achieving the desired functionality and performance. Poor implementation can result in disruptions, data loss, and dissatisfaction among users, and that leads us to the next part, which is user adoption. Before I go into that, I would like to tell you what you need to do in order to have a successful implementation. So keep in mind to develop a comprehensive implementation plan with clear milestones and timelines that involves key stakeholders through the process of gathering requirements and ensure the alignment with business goals. In other words, if you have good quality and the implementation is not good, it's slow, then you will have all these issues, and it can also lead to the user adoption. But let's say that we have good quality, good implementation, and then you have the user adoption. That is also important. So by definition, user adoption refers to the extent to which the intended users of the software expect, use, and derive value from it. It involves user training, user experience designs, and creating a positive environment for embracing the new tool. So it's important because even the most powerful software is ineffective if users don't adopt it. So user resistance or lack of engagement can hinder productivity and diminish the return of investment. So in order to have a good, successful user adoption, well, provide comprehensive training sessions, if you're going to do a dashboard, then make sure it's going to be intuitive enough, ensure the users are familiar with the software features, address concern and feedback from users through the adoption process, and highlight the benefits of the software and its positive impacts on a daily basis or daily tasks until it's fully adopted. And finally, we have this one, which is also very important, the maintenance. So remember, if we have all those three flawless steps, 1, 2, and 3, but we lack of maintenance, like updates, security patches, and that also involves ongoing support, optimization of the software, deployment, bug fixes, and performance enhancements as our data grows. So all of those things have to be in the maintenance space. So it's important because regular maintenance is necessary to address those issues, enhance the security, and adapt to changing requirements. So how to have a good maintenance? Well, establish a robust support system for addressing these issues and troubleshoot, schedule regular updates and patches to address security vulnerabilities and improve performance. So monitor the feedback and evolve its business needs to guide future enhancements. Okay, so let me check on questions. No questions so far. I'm going to continue with the next slide. So designing for mobile, here are key principles. So one of them is to simplify, simplicity. So less is more. When simplifying, prioritize essential content on smaller screens and then use consistent text and intuitive navigation. For example, the IKEA manuals are a good example of very simple, very intuitive, no words, just drawings. So that's one example of simplicity. Touch-friendly. Because you're working with smaller devices, make sure that these elements are large enough for easy navigation. There's an example where a company designed very powerful software on handhelds for drivers to release or deliver just boxes and packages. And everything was tested, everything was reviewed, but the drivers were not using it, and that's one example of user adoption. And when finally they walked the process, they went with the drivers to see what was going on. They found out that it was cumbersome for them because they were using gloves to carry those packages. So they have to take the gloves on and off in order to input the stuff in the system, in the handhelds. So problem solved, they just added a stylus, and they were able to keep doing their jobs without having to take their gloves off. So that's an example of maintenance and also user adoption and feedback in that, for that matter. Visual hierarchy. This concept is about emphasizing important information with size, color, and positioning, highlighting key elements and maintaining a logical flow of the content. Then performance optimization. We talked about that in previous slide about the performance and implementation. So it's not just about mobile design, but in general, even in analytics, and this performance topic was mentioned in one of the Dr. Spotfire sessions before, and we're going to talk about that at the end of the presentation. So it's just to make it faster, basically, with large data sets, and for when developing for mobile, it's crucial to reduce the data size. And it's also important to understand the difference between a dashboard and analysis. You're not going to do necessarily analytics on a mobile device. It's more like a dashboard thing. Last one is user testing. It's key to test for different audiences and devices, but it's useless if we don't get any feedback. Again, feedback is important, one of the on the pillars. Otherwise, we cannot fix things that we don't know they exist. I can go back with that example for the truck driver using globes. Is the same thing. So the app was developed without the real world user testing. So it's not only lab testing, but real world testing. And finally, continuous interaction. That's similar to the previous step, but but it does not stay in the testing before release. It's a continuing improvement process, at least at the beginning. But that's part of the basic principles. Okay, so now some concepts, some a little bit technical concepts about designing for mobile and responsive designs. So responsive design is an approach to web design that ensures website and applications to adapt and respond to different devices and screen sizes, providing an optimal user experience by automatically adjust the layout, content, and interface to fit the user's device. So there are different techniques. For example, use relative units, percentages, and I have a couple of slides that will go over those slides just for reference, for those units just for reference. But that makes things really flexible and responsive when it comes to mobile design. Also, flexible image and grid layouts to align and display the media proportionally on different ports. Media queries, the use of media queries when you are dealing with text areas or CSS, you can put media queries, which are rules to set the minimum and maximum width depending on the screen resolution size. So you have certain rules. If the width size is a certain amount of pixels, then I want this font size or this layout or things like that. And here are a couple examples. Also, the mobile first approach. Again, this is a principle that designers and developers use that starts by developing for mobile devices first and then progressively enhancing the experience for larger screens, adding more content. But the essential content has to be prioritized. This ensures that the core functionality and content are optimized for smaller screens with additional features added for larger screens. Okay. The next concept is content prioritization, which is similar to the previous one, but ensures that important information is accessible on all screens, adapting textual details for larger screens. Okay, this is regarding just general concepts, not Spotfire itself, but next topic is I'm going to talk how these principles are used in Spotfire. So here we have the relative and absolute units. We have these relative viewport units, the vertical width, vertical height, or min and max. Also, we have absolute length. If you want to have a specific length, maybe you're printing or exporting a PDF or something, then you use centimeters or millimeters, or in screen resolution for pixels or even picas. But the relative length units are very useful for mobile design. So we have the RM, REM, EX, and CH. These are relative to the font size of the element or to the root element or the height of the font. So these are font-related units. And finally, we have the percentage that represent the percentage of the parent size element. Okay, so there's one more concept before we move on to the Spotfire and how Spotfire implements this concept, and it's the designing the mobile interaction patterns. So we have the touch gestures, which is tapping, swiping, and pinching, that are common mobile interaction pattern that ensures intuitive navigation and interaction on touch screens. In a Spotfire, you will see it on a map right here. I can show you that if you press and hold, if you're on a mobile device and you're marking something on a map, you press and hold the screen and then you start dragging, and that's how you can start selecting points, and that's an example of a touch gesture. Mobile-friendly input, again, prioritize the input methods like virtual keyboards. If you need to type something, then you have a virtual keyboard. Then you also have a smooth and user-friendly experience for entering information on the devices, maybe a pop-up to save on screens and so on. And then also responsive menus. It's not the same to have a menu on a large screen than on a small screen, then because if you have the same kind of layout on a big screen or a small screen, then it might be too small for you to see. So when it comes to responsive design, then you switch into that. Okay, so now moving on to Spotfire mobile design, we have a couple of concepts that I want to talk about, which is the page layout, log visualization areas, the concept of a fixed canvas, the browser style approach. Then you also have R and Python. I'm going to go through an example on how to detect the screen size and then design accordingly, depending on the screen size. And furthermore, I'm going to talk about a little bit about the JavaScript API, so you can have full advantage and full control of all the HTML technologies with this API. So the Spotfire page layout, we have, since Spotfire 7.13, we have this concept of page layout that incorporates this natural responsive design that allows you to have the different layouts depending on the screen size. So I'm going to talk about all of these concepts. So let's go ahead and well, let me just continue with the adaptive layout, dynamic resizing, touch-friendly interactions, flexible navigation, device-specific, page-specific, and content-specific. Okay, so that's kind of the breakdown of these. And the page layout options, let me show you how it's done. You go to the visualization, page layout option, and then you have this pop-up. Let me pull up a real report, and we're going to open this this one that you are familiar with, and this one right here. We can right click and go to page layout options, and we have this menu, or we can also find it in visualization, page layout options. So this means that when you have, for example, if the screen is less than a certain amount of pixels, in this case 889, then it's going to apply the mobile design blue that's going to wrap around all the elements. So for example, if I resize this, then you can see that well, here the size of my screen is, you see when it reaches 489, it switched to the mobile design. You look at the scroll bar, now it's cramping, but when I reach that threshold, then it switches to this layout. So you can adjust that if you want to go further. Then, well, I really want to have it when it goes to maybe this size, so I can set it to the current width, and that's it. And did you notice that when I make it smaller, then Spotfire, this pop page layout options menu is also switched recording, because that's part of the mobile experience out of the box. Okay, so now I have that, and I can play around with that. And the same goes with the with fixed layout. For example, the fixed layout, if I make it like that, then that's going to be my fixed layout, and it's just going to keep those dimensions when I reach that threshold. So I can remove this and just keep the fixed size. So when I go like this, it doesn't keep crunching all the visualizations, because I have that width, and I can also do the same with the height. Okay, any questions so far? I don't see any questions. Okay, I'm going to keep going. So let's go to the next topic. The next topic is the log visualization areas. So log visualization areas is also an interesting concept. See how this banner has a scroll bar. When I resize the screen, I can just go ahead and log the visualization areas. And when I resize again, you see that the scroll is not for that text area in particular. It's fixed. And that's important, because I can also, let me open the example again. And where you can find that lock visualization areas is in arrange visualizations and then lock visualization areas, and I have that menu. So for example, if I don't have anything locked right now, nothing is locked, I can lock it. I can lock that area, or I can unlock it. Let's see what happens if I haven't unlocked. If I haven't unlocked and I make this real small, then this top bar is just not, the size is dynamic, and I can end up with that scroll bar. I can kind of see the scroll bar right here. But if I don't want that, I can just lock it. So let's go back and lock it again. And I'm also going to lock the left side of the screen and the right side of the screen. So maybe in my mobile design, these parts are the important parts that I want to always keep visible. But this one, maybe not. Maybe this is extra content that I just want to show if the screen is large enough. But if it's not large enough, I can just ignore it. So that's what happened with this, with the page layout. So if I resize it, you see that the middle part is just disappearing basically until I only have the content. Well, it's not disappearing completely because I have some of the page layout options applied. So let me remove that, and now let's do it again. So see, now that is gone. It's completely gone. So that allows me to have that flexibility to see what I want in my mobile design or not. Okay. Any questions so far? I don't see any. Okay. Let's continue with the next concept. And the next concept is the fixed canvas. So this is a quick and easy way to make any dashboard existing, make it mobile friendly in a way. The difference between this previous approach is that you can apply the log visualization areas or these page layout options per page. But these fixed canvas, it's applied to the entire, for all the pages. So if I go to my dashboard and I change this to find that, I go to my document properties, and that's a feature that's always been there. I can make it to the canvas size. I can have it custom size. So if I just make it fixed, now it's going to have that fixed width and height, and it doesn't matter if I increase the size of the my, it doesn't matter if you have a very large display or very small display. The content is going to keep the same. It's going to just keep the same. All you have to do is scroll through. So maybe it's not the best approach, but in some cases it's just a good approach to have consistency in my dashboard. Okay, we have another concept, which is the browser style. So let's go to the browser style, and that's where you have, by playing with the fixed, with the dimensions here again. Let's go to document properties, and maybe I have my height very, very long. So maybe I'm going to just increase it that much. And the problem here is that I'm going to have my visualizations stretch out. So there are techniques to design with this approach. If you want to have a browser style approach, and you can start just adding text areas in different places as a placeholders, and then replacing those text areas with visualizations. I had that already done in this one. So this is how it looks. Now I have this mobile approach. All the pages are now in one single page. I don't have to go through any other pages. I just managed to put all different pages like that in a scroll manner fashion. And that's the mobile approach. Again, if we look at the properties, we can see that the height is long enough and my width is just fixed. Okay. Let's move this out of the way and see what else we have to offer. We have the Iron Python auto detection. There is an article that covers this, and there's a demo here, or you can also look at the video. I'm gonna share those links after the fact. They should be in the description of the video. So how does this work? I have a demo right here. Let me open up the presentation where I have that. Okay. So, oh, by the way, I have one example of the fixed canvas here. Here's a dashboard that you can find in the demo gallery, and you can see that the canvas is fixed. It doesn't matter how big or small your screen is. You always see the same size. But now let's look at the Iron Python auto detection. So when I open the dashboard, an Iron Python script is going to trigger, and it's going to detect the size of the canvas, and it's going to delete all those or hide all those tabs that I don't want to look at. So in this case, I put a label here for the desktop. So when this is the desktop view. This particular design doesn't work with out-of-the-box features from Spotfire, because if I make it like this, then you can see that these headers are not for each of these elements. And let me just highlight something important here. It doesn't matter how good the tool that you're using, call it Spotfire or something else, you still need to think about on how to develop for mobile devices. It's not just magical. You have to put some thought effort on how you're going to display, to tell the story different ways for different screen sizes. So in this case, we have this script that is triggered when you open the dashboard. So I'm going to close the logout and logging back again. Let me just copy the URL. And when I log in again and go back to that dashboard, now the Python is triggered, and now I'm looking at the mobile view, which is another page that I have. But now this makes more sense. Now you see this text area or header is above of the corresponding visualizations, the same with the rest of them, unlike the other. But this is not going to trigger if I resize the screen. And the same is true for the tablet design. So let me show you now that specific dashboard, to see how it looks, and maybe go through the script real quick if we have time, or maybe not, but there's an article that covers all of that. So these are the different pages, one for mobile, one for tablet view, and this is the desktop view. Okay, and the script is it's a simple Spotfire script, Iron Python script that you define what is mobile. So the mobile width is 600, anything below that, and then depending on that, it's going to go through the pages and is going to hide or show depending on the rule that is applied here. And it's going to look for a page that has an M or a T, and you can see it right here. Let me just unhide it. So you can see it clearly, and the same is for the mobile device. Okay, let's move on to the JavaScript API. So if you want to have full control of your dashboard and maybe use other other libraries, then you can use this JavaScript API. I'm also going to put the links in the description of the video, and I'm going to show you what I mean by the JavaScript API. Let me find it. Okay. So here I have the JavaScript API. I have a couple of examples. This is example 1, and I am just, with very minimal HTML. I have my hello world, and then I have containers. These containers are going to hold the Spotfire page that I set in my JavaScript. So in my JavaScript, I just have to configure all these options, make sure that I have the JavaScript API enabled, which is part of your software. This will be the URL of your Spotfire deployment, and then you put the JS API loader script right there, and then you will have full functionality, and also you will be able to look at there's a full API. Do not confuse with the Python API. It's a different API. This is the JavaScript API for mashups. So here you have all these settings, and is basically showing this page right here. And that's let me see if I can open it. So it's basically looking at this page, this analysis is embedded here. For the example 2, it's a little bit more complex. Now I have 4 containers actually. So in the first container, I have the first page, and the other containers, I have different pages. So you have to remember, it's not a visualization, but a page that you're going to put in this container. So when you are designing for a Spotfire mashup, then make sure that all of these components, or you have one visualization per page, and then you can call it using the API. Here's another example. This example also allows you to integrate different APIs with the Spotfire. For example, you want to mark something on this map or this scatter plot. Then the API, this is using Bing, Microsoft Bing Maps. So the API is going to make a call and find the appropriate route for. Okay, so let's mark some of the points, and the API is going to pass all those parameters and compute what's the best route to go to these places. Let me just mark 2, and then you can see how the best route is to get those points. Okay, so you can see the code, everything is here, and finally, this other example allows you to play with the API. You can set document properties, you can get a property value, just put the name there, and here you have the console. For example, if I get all properties, I can see all these properties. And maybe I can just copy this property, put the property here, and then get the property value, and then I'll see that the value is true. So you can play with the properties, with the pages. You can navigate or switch to different page. You can play with the data, marking, filtering, and bookmarks. So everything you need to have a good Spotfire dashboard with maximum flexibility. Okay, no questions so far. Even though if you don't have any questions, you can always send the questions later, and I'll do my best to respond them. Okay, let's continue with the next concept. Let's move out of the way. And the documentation of the API, oops. I have to I have to update that link. Well, that's the Spotfire documentation. Sorry about that. But this is the JavaScript API overview, and where it has all of that. Okay, next, optimizing for Spotfire dashboard. So again, remember those 4 pillars that I talked about at the beginning. So optimizing for Spotfire dashboard, having a good implementation is key. So I'm going to talk about the difference between a dashboard and an analysis, and also the difference between pre-aggregated data versus in-memory, because these are important concepts to keep in mind when designing for mobile. And remember, again, you're not necessarily going to do analysis on a tablet. That's a topic for next month, where we're going to talk about exploratory data and collaborative data analysis. So we're going to talk about the difference between dashboard analysis, pre-aggregated, and in-memory, and also automation services and schedule updates, how this can improve to increase the performance of your dashboards. Okay, so here's another quote, and I saw this quote that I watched in the movie Maestro. It was an Oscar nominee with Bradley Cooper, and it resonated with me, and I made an analogy with Spotfire. So the quote says, "A work of art does not answer questions, but it provokes them. And its essential meaning is the tension between the and its essential meaning is in the tension between the contradictory answers." Okay, so I kind of did a little change with that one, and for me is Spotfire analysis does not answers questions, unlike dashboards, but it provokes them, and the insights beside them relies between them. Okay, so I have a quiz. I don't have enough. I don't see like the audience. I know something is going on. I don't see any comments. But in any case, I prepared this quiz. So in your mind, just think of which letters there are 4 that belongs to a dashboard, and there are other 4 that belong to analysis. So in your mind, keep a note of which letters belong to a dashboard and which ones are analysis. For example, summarizing a high-level view of data, is that a dashboard or an analysis? Deeper insights and exploration. Key performance indicators. Interactively explore and analyze data. Displays consist information, is that a dashboard or that's an analysis? Answers questions to answers. Turns answers into questions. So I'll give you a moment to think about that, and or you can also pause the video. And the answers are this. These are the answers. So an analysis are deeper insights and exploration, interactively explore and analyze data, answers questions to answers, and turn answers into questions. That's an analysis. And for the dashboard are the ones marked with an asterisk and not in bold. I have a similar clear. I split it here, the dashboard and analysis, and now I have the pre-aggregated data versus in memory. Again, the same exercise. There are 2 that are in memory. Which of these 2 are in memory? Performance efficiency, is that pre-aggregated data or in memory? Flexible exploration and ad hoc analysis. Limited granularity of the data. Lack of flexibility. Responsive analysis. Okay, or fast analysis. So the answer is flexible exploration and ad hoc analysis, that's in memory, and responsive analysis, which is fast when you have everything in memory. And the pre-aggregated is when you have performance efficiency when it comes to large amounts of data. You have limited granularity of the data and lack of flexibility when you have the pre-aggregated. Okay, so I split that in 2, and I just want to talk about this feature that Spotfire had for your dashboard to become more, to improve in performance. So schedule updates it's one way of achieving that. So you can optimize loading time. So if you have a large amount of data in your dashboard, you can just send it to the schedule updates, and that will increase the performance. But keep in mind that if you keep doing that and you have a lot of dashboards, then you might release that burdens on your end, but you're going to pass all that waiting time and overload into the Spotfire server. So it's important that you have multiple Spotfire server, configure the load balancing for the web player for the schedule updates to have a good performance of those dashboards. So the schedule updates, it's also it preloads the dashboard for you. So if your dashboard takes hours to load, schedule update will do it, and you can configure when you want that dashboard to be executed. So maybe it's midnight, and then next morning when the users log, everything is cached, and you will see. One of the problems about the schedule updates is that you won't have access to the data, but you can change the frequency of the schedule updates. So a nice thing about schedule updates is that if you have a dashboard you're looking at, you have a dashboard open on the web player, and you have fresh data, your Spotfire is going to refresh automatically. You don't have to close and open again. It's just going to refresh automatically after schedule updates is done doing its thing. So yeah, it's going to be static data until the next refresh, and it's very efficient. So there's another concept, and I don't know if I should go through the schedule updates. Let me go to the schedule updates example here, just for you to illustrate where is that located. So let me go back to this, and you need to be an admin for that. So let me let me just close the analysis, or go to let me just go to the main dashboard. Okay, so we have here the schedule and routing, and you will see that I have a lot of dashboards here. They are scheduled on a regular basis, and you have all the status, and then that's how it works. The scheduling and routing are right here. Okay, so the automation services, that's another feature. It's another approach that you can also use to improve the performance of your dashboard. For example, you have you created a dashboard that gathers a lot of information, but at the end, you can create the same graph with 1 million rows versus hundreds of rows that are already pre-aggregated, because the visualization are going to aggregate those rows, and you can create the same view with the less pre-aggregated rows. So you can either do that pre-aggregation on the database, but if not, you can use automation services by creating a task. So you will typically export the data into the library, and then that data is already pre-aggregated for a specific visualization, and then you create another dashboard that consumes that pre-aggregated data. So you have that pre-aggregated data that also you can refresh on a regular basis, and the consumer from the web player is going to look at that version of the Spotfire, or even with the analytics, you can still use that, but it's going to be like the pre-aggregated version of that. And that's going to improve the performance of the dashboard that you are trying to come up as a mobile device. So that's excellent option if you're creating weekly, monthly, or even daily reports. and there are other options available. Where is that? So let me go back to my analysis. Okay, so on the client, you're going to go to tools, and there is automation services job builder. With the automation job builder, it's like a set of tasks that you're gonna start. So normally you start with opening the analysis from the library. You open the library, so it's a set of tasks. So let's say, okay, I'm going to open a specific document. Well, let's look. This is the one that I'm working. So you set to current, and then it's going to add that task. And then maybe you want to export the data to a library. So okay, so which one do you want to export? And you have here different options. Where's where do you want to export the data? Then you select the folder you want to export the data to. I can choose some of that folder, and then I put a description if you want to, and some keywords for it's for to find it easily. But with these are optional. This is important, and then you create another dashboard that consumes. So even this one, you replace the data that maybe the same data. The visualization is taking 100 of rows, but you are going to replace the data with that data that only takes a couple of hundreds of rows, or just the aggregated rows that you want to look at. So that's that, and then you can keep adding stuff with the automation services. You can send emails, you can generate PDF, you can attach those PDFs into the emails, and there are other options that I'm not going to go through, but that's what you can do with automation services. And when you have the automation services, then you can save I think it's an XML file, but you can save this XML file into the library, or you can also export it as a file and then send it to your Spotfire administrator to have it scheduled from the automation services. I don't think I have anything with the automation services, but let's see where it's located. Here's the automation services. Nothing is running right now, but I have all these items and notifications related to the automation services, and here is where the admin is going to open the file that you created, that automation services file. Okay. So let's go back to the presentation and see if we have anything else. We don't have anything else. That's the end of the presentation. But if you have any questions or any comment, feel free to send it over. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you like and subscribe, and see you next time. Bye.